Hey, what's good guys? I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's been a while. YouTube is something we've wanted to get a hold of for a long time, and it's wanting to be something that we want to commit to as well. However, it's very time consuming, as you probably know. We have a very busy team with a very busy schedule, and obviously helping those guys out is our priority. However, we are making a special effort over the next 12 to 18 weeks to post one of these videos on a weekly basis to document my dieting phase. Now, as someone who's highly unlikely to ever compete, I may do, but to be honest, it's not high up on the priorities list. I never get the opportunity to really guide you guys through how I would do it, a dieting phase or a gaining phase and things like that, in the way that a competitor would, but the processes are fairly similar. I wanted to show you what I'm going to do. So over the next 12 to 18 weeks, and I say 12 to 18 weeks because I've set it for 18, but if I get it done earlier and I hit the goal that I want to hit, then I won't just keep going. There's no point. I'll stop there. I'm going to show you what I do on a week-to-week basis with my training, with my nutrition, my check-ins of myself, where I'm going through my kind of progress photos, checking out, seeing how I'm doing and how I'm changing, and obviously the changes that I make, why I make them, see the research and things like that we use to base these decisions on. In today's video, what we're going to be covering is how I get myself set up. So what I've done to get set up for this dieting phase, my training, how many days I'm training, what I'm doing and why, and my nutrition as well. So without further ado, time to crack open a cold one. Let's get stuck in. Get full range of motion out to the elbow. First things first, let's talk starting point. As you can see, this is where I finished my diet last year. Weighing in at about 164 pounds at this point. I've been dieting for 18 weeks. Okay, so I started at 186. I came down to 164, so about 22 pounds of loss altogether. And as you can see, this is the end product. Then I went through a series of gaining phases with mini cuts and things like that. The highest weight I hit in my quote-unquote off-season was 192 pounds. I mini-cutted just after that point down to 180. Then I had a series of holidays, so I'm sat now at 182. Unfortunately, with the holidays in mind, I also caught COVID, which was poo. It set me back a little bit in terms of having about 4 weeks total off training. So this is our starting point, okay? It's very much deflated in terms of the physique that I would normally walk around with, because naturally you carry that everyday pump, if you like, but I didn't have it because I hadn't trained, and that's just the way that it goes. To be quite honest, I'm pretty happy with this. If we compare this, me at 182 pounds, to the last time when I started my diet at 182 pounds, there's just no comparison. Obviously, I've got more of a tan, and I've also shaved my chest and my abs, which is worth mentioning because obviously they make big differences in how we look. I think it's very clear. I mean, if you look around the jawline, for example, very much holding a lot more weight back then. So altogether, I think this year has been an absolute success in terms of this, because it shows me that actually I'm packing a lot more muscle than I had back then. I'm super excited to take off some of this fat and see what I've got underneath. And if we do get back down to 164 pounds, I wonder what my physique will look like then, or whether that physique will come back out but at a higher weight. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to take you through is the first thing that I went through, and that is planning this whole thing through. How do we know how long to diet for, how much we can lose, and all of that malarkey? Well, it's fairly straightforward. In this regard, I know that I want to lose about 18 to 20 pounds, okay, and that's 10% of my body weight. I know that if I do 1% per week, if I lose 1% of my body weight per week, which is within the realm, so we try to aim between 0.5 and 1% per week of total body mass. So for example, I weigh 182 pounds, so I'd be aiming somewhere between 0.9 pounds per week and 1.8 pounds per week. I know that if I wanted to lose 18 pounds, if I did the optimal, the highest rate of fat loss that I would be willing to do, which is about 1% for a long period of time, it would take me 10 weeks. And I'd have to get everything right. My body would have to play ball, the scales would have to play ball, and that's how we would then lose that 18 pounds. That would be kind of mini cut speeds for me, and I'm not in it for the speed of this. I'm in it for the duration. What I'm aiming to do, therefore, is an 18-week diet. Now, over the 18 weeks, if I start now at 182, which I am, if I lose 0.5% of my body weight per week, by the 18-week mark, I will either be 166 pounds, which is that slow rate, so I've given myself plenty of time, or I could be as little as 152. So if I lose 1% per week for the whole duration of this 18-week diet, I would be 152.5 pounds at the end. Now, I'm not aiming to be 152.5. I think that would probably be like stage lean for me, to be honest. We'll see. But what I am aiming to do is try and get down to 165 pounds, somewhere around there. I've got time to play with. That's because we've already got a holiday booked, so we've got a week away at the end of September, which is the back end of my second block. We've got 3 weddings to attend, so there's going to be lots of social occasions with good friends and family, and they're not the type of events where, at this stage, I'm not competing, so I'm happy to go back to maintenance and really enjoy them. And I'm not saying you have to eat and drink loads, obviously, to enjoy them. I'm just saying that for me, I like a drink and I like to eat food. So I probably will go back to maintenance on those occasions, and I'll fit that into my process. And that's one of the reasons I've given myself so much time. So while we're here, the next thing to talk about would of course be the calories. Well, how do we figure that out? Well, if I want to lose 1% per week, that's 1.8 pounds. Now the easy maths for this is knowing that 500 calorie deficit per week would lose you 1 pound a week. So if I wanted to lose 2 pounds a week, I would need to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit. Now for me, that's actually not so bad. I would need to eat somewhere between 1,900 and 2,000 calories. I can do that easily. I've done it for plenty of mini cuts and it works very efficiently for me. And like I did earlier on this year where I went from 192 pounds down to 180, that was a mini cut that I did, and the calories there were 1,850 to 1,950, and there was no problem. Well, it was a problem. I was very hungry. But I got it done. So, hey, we'll leave it at that. But essentially, what I know then is that if I take my maintenance calories at about 2,900 calories, if I want to go at 1% per week, I need a 1,000 calorie deficit. So that's going to take me down to about 1,900. Now, if I want to do a 500 calorie deficit, and go for the 1 pound per week, that would obviously leave me just above that low rate. Now, I've gone in between the two. So my current calories are set from 2,000 up to 2,200, with the aim this week and next week to stick to 2,200, and then I will go to the bottom end of that bracket. What that allows me to do is not start getting fixated on numbers and exact macros and making sure everything's within a realm so quickly and getting dietary fatigue. Diet fatigue is just when you essentially are exhausted from tracking everything and thinking about food and things like that. In an 18-week diet, that's just not ideal first week. So I tend to be super relaxed when I start. I tend to take it really chill, and I like to be able to just be very relaxed around my approach. A nice big bracket, 2,000 to 2,200, and essentially just take it as I come. Macros wise, I'm shooting for 190 grams of protein, so it's just over 1 gram per pound of body weight. I'm actually in the range of 190 to 210. My carbs are set between 235 and 255. Fats are set from 40 to 60, and I am hitting that higher end at the moment. Fiber is 20 plus. If I hit that in kind of middle of those ranges for each of them, I would be looking at somewhere around 2,100 calories. So how do I figure all those out? I go just above 1 gram per pound for protein. I then go 0.3 grams per pound of fat minimum. Okay, I personally don't eat a lot of fat in my everyday diet. I'm an absolute carb fiend. In terms of carbohydrate then, what I do is I say, okay, well, if I have 190 to 200 grams of protein and I have 40 to 60 grams of fat, how many carbohydrates am I then able to eat and still hit the roof of my calories? Essentially, I don't want to be going over that, I want to be under it. So that adds up 245 grams of carbs, which is easy peasy for me. That's nice. So the next thing then to talk about is training. What are we doing with our training? Now, I have trained 6 days a week for almost as long as I can remember. But with all the social occasions we've got coming up, with this whole year actually, it's been full of holidays, which are really unfortunate to go on. Have been absolutely fantastic. And also a kind of pledge I made to myself at the start of this year, which as kind of a New Year's resolution, which was to try and see more of the world. Working online is a massive privilege, and being able to work from home or anywhere is brilliant, and I just don't use it. It's something I'm looking to try and do more of, and it's been going pretty well so far. But obviously a 6th day of training makes that very different, because that 6th day becomes almost a chore at that point, where you're deciding between, do I go to XYZ or do I train? And if we do go somewhere, it's trying to figure out how we train there and things like that. And to be honest with you, It's a good challenge. Like I say to all my clients, do what you know you can commit to and commit to it. I know I can commit to 5 days, so I'm going down to 5 days. I'm not training sick. I do miss that 6th day. I love a Saturday session, so quite often I don't train on a Friday and I train on a Saturday, which has worked out quite well from a working perspective because I can get some more work done. So onto the training split itself then. So we're doing 5 days as discussed. We've got 2 full lower body days, 3 full upper body days. So essentially how this looks is Monday is my first training day of the week, and Monday is a lower body session. Then I have my chest, shoulders and triceps, so essentially a push session on a Tuesday. On the Wednesday, I'm doing my back, my shoulders again, and arms, obviously biceps. Then on day 4, which is Thursday, lower body day again, but unlike Monday, this is a quad and glute focus day. Then on the Friday, or the Saturday, depends what I'm doing, I then do my full upper body day. So it's essentially contrasting, not supersets, but contrasting in exercises. So for example, I got wide grip pull-ups, chest press, machine rows. The reason I've come up with this plan in this way is because it facilitates easy recovery between the sessions. So the reason I do my legs on a Monday and a Thursday is because I've got a couple of days in between where they can rest and recover, and obviously that way I'm able to facilitate a really good session on the Thursday rather than train them kind of one day after another. So say Monday and Wednesday, with the amount of volume that I'm doing in those sessions, it just wouldn't work out so well. Now for some of you, might be training kind of 3 days a week lower body. You're like, well, hang on a minute, I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday for mine. But because you're doing 3 days, it's highly likely that those 3 days will kind of disperse the volume very equally throughout. Whereas because of the way that I'm doing it, I'm cramming more volume into 2 days, which means inevitably there's going to be some more soreness and probably some more pain. So with that upper body stuff then, what I'm looking to do is get all my optimal volumes in, which I've managed to do really well. And I'll probably share a quick clip of my training and things like that and kind of how it looks. Probably of interest actually. In terms of accessories, I'm doing 2 core exercises a week. So I've got lower abs and upper abs, and I'm doing 4 sets of each. So I've got 8 total sets of abs. And I'm also doing a lot of glute work as well, so I've got a fair amount of glute work going in. I've got barbell RDLs, walking lunges which destroy my glutes. I've got Bulgarian split squats which also destroy my glutes. I've got back squats which destroy my glutes, and I've got hypers as well. So I'm very excited to get that growth going there as well, and overall in the lower body, really looking forward to that too. So in terms of actual training and the kind of ways that we do training, we use RIR, which stands for reps in reserve. Reps in reserve is essentially a proximity to failure calculator. If you're hitting absolute failure, that would be failure or 0. If you were hitting 1 rep before that, that would be RIR 1. 2 reps before that, RIR 2, RIR 3, you get the message. So we start all of our programs at kind of 2 to 4 RIR, 4 for some of the big compounds, or for me, a lot of my hamstring work because I get absolutely torn to shreds. And actually starting at RIR 5 for some of my hamstring work is actually advisable because I get DOMs for so many days that I actually have to cool off a little bit compared to what I'm actually capable of lifting. It's quite cool that my hamstrings respond like that, but also we need to take that into account. Next up, rest times. So in terms of rest times, I don't time my rests, to be honest. I've timed rests for so long now, I'm very, very good at it. What I might do is towards the end of the diet, when I become more and more tired and fatigued, I will likely be timing rests then, because that's the time when my body's gonna be begging me to rest, begging me to break. And the best thing I can do then is actually time it and just keep on ticking over. At the moment, in my rest times in the gym, I'm actually using those to get my steps up. So my aim by the time I leave the gym is to have done 3,000 steps. I usually do a 5-minute warm-up, which gets me kind of 1,000 steps, including what I've done at home. So then just the rest of the gym, I'm moving around and walking about, trying to get in as many steps as I can, just to make sure that by the time I leave the gym, I don't have loads of work to do for the rest of the day in terms of steps. Next, when it comes to steps, I also go for 2 walks through the day. So I do a 25-minute walk in my lunch break, which usually gets me anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 steps, and then I tend to go for a walk with my partner in the evening. One thing I do recommend, and this is something I do for myself, is time the loop that you do. So I know that the loop that I do very consistently is 25 minutes. It takes me 25 minutes to do that loop. I've done this before where I've dieted and it's sometimes taken me up to 40 minutes. I'm not going to be doing that this time. This time I'm on a strict timer. I will walk that in 25 minutes and I'll keep to that. Doesn't matter how tired I am, doesn't matter how fatigued I am, I'm going to keep to that. Just like if you're on a treadmill and you set it, I'm going to set myself to that and we're going to get that done. Alright, last but not least, everyone always asks this question, how much cardio are you doing? None. So I'm not doing any cardio. I'm not programmed any cardio in. I'm not doing any. I don't need to. I'm relying on the calories to start with, because later on down the line, when I really do need to make a change, I don't want to be eating less food if I can help it. So doing more activity for me is a much preferred method than taking calories away. The only kind of cardio I am doing, I play touch rugby on a Monday night, and I can do kind of anywhere between 25,000 and 20,000 steps there, and I run a fair amount of kilometers. Now, I haven't included that in my calculations for the deficit, all right? I have based my deficit purely off my everyday expenditure. So when I go there and I do that, that is treated as a pure bonus. So if I didn't go, I wouldn't be losing out on progress. There's no threat to go. It doesn't become a part of my plan. So it's still an enjoyable thing to do. I can still go and have a great time and not worry about, hey, am I losing weight while I'm here? Things like that. I just want to go and have a great time. So no cardio for me, just that bit of touch rugby on a Monday night, which I'm not counting towards my calorie target, so it will just be an additional bonus, and that is that. Right, you lot, I've got some work to get on with, so I'm going to crack on now. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments. If you would like to subscribe, please do. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be posting these every week. I'm going to be doing a little bit of everything as we go. I'm going to be posting things like what I eat in a day, and not just the boring old, oh, I have this. I'm going to tell you why I'm having that. I'm going to put some science to it, and I'm going to show you why it might be a good idea next time you diet to try some of these things. It's going to be very affordable as well. This isn't going to be one of those diet preps where you see things that have random things that cost £300 million from the shop. It's going to be very, very relatable, very, very standard way of doing it, but also very, very effective. I'm also going to be sharing my training, so we're going to take the camera to the gym. We're going to go through some of that. Essentially, I want to share this whole process with you. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you're going to stick around, and if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments and I will answer every single one of them. Guys, thank you ever so much. We really appreciate you. All the best. Bye-bye for now.